Another strategy that we introduced last year for solving quadratic equations is completing a square. We are not into the quadratic formula right now, so what I'm going to show you and try to remind you of is this process called completing the square. So once again, we want to make sure our equation is in standard form. I would be on the lookout for that each and every time. It is in standard form. So the next thing I want to do is I group the x's together. So x squared minus 4x, and that's where we left a space to complete the square in here, plus 1, and we're going to leave a space to complete the square on this side, equals 0. The next step that we do after grouping your x's, so group your x's, it's kind of my calling card on that. The next thing I want to do is we're going to take half of the linear term. So now we're going to take half of the linear term. The linear term is nothing more than the x term. So I want to take the value and take half of whatever that value is in front of the x. So I take half of 4, which is 2, and then you take that and you square it. So it's half the linear term squared. So half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. And since you square, I'm not so concerned about that number, because as soon as I square, that number is always going to be positive. So realistically, we're always going to be adding this number in here to complete our square. But if we added 4 there, we've actually made our equation 4 larger. So we want to make sure that we undo that and balance it back up with subtracting 4. So in essence, this adding 4 and subtracting 4 are undoing each other inside of the equation. It stays balanced. The whole purpose of using this type of strategy is we've made this into a trinomial square. And trinomial squares have a simple factorization. I'll write it out as 2 different binomials to start off with. X squared has to be x times x. The signs have to be the same, and they both must be negative, so negative, negative. And what are factors of 4 that will add up to 4, which is minus 2, minus 2. I'm going to simplify this side over here, which is minus 3 equals 0. Well, this is an x minus 2 squared if we apply some rules of exponents. Minus 3 equals 0. Now we want to be able to solve this equation and finish this up by solving it for x. Since we have a nice perfect square over here, what we do is we isolate our squared and we go x minus 2 squared equals 3. We add 3 to both sides. Now we can undo squaring. To undo squaring, we square root. So we're going to take the square root of 3. Every time you take the square root of a positive, it's plus and minus. The number that we could square here could be a negative or a positive square root of 3 and it'd still be 3. To finish it off, we add 2 to both sides, so it's 2 plus or minus the square root of 3. These are the 2 solutions to the problem that we started off at the beginning. Now I'm going to save this one. I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you a little bit more of an advanced completing a square problem.